What's going on, traders? We're in another action-packed week, more bank uncertainty. But what does that mean for live trading? Well, more profit potential out there, right? Opportunities. We have to be able to be on top of our game, but there is opportunities out there to profit. We just got to see who's getting that chicken dinner. I know I'm going after it. We got Ryan. We got Zunaid today. Hit those thumbs up. Let's get it started, team. You guys know where you're at. Live trading. Who's getting chicken dinners? I want one. I'm hungry. Boy, gotta eat. Gotta get it, though.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Those words have been dancing around my head all night. I mean, it's Vegas lore, that phrase.
Good morning, team out there in Divine Harvest. I'm kind of jealous you're telling me good morning from Colorado. I'm not going to lie. I miss Colorado. I really do. But let's bring on the boys here. Ryan, Faloona, Zunaid. We were talking about how it was a little bit chilly this morning. So you guys out there, stay warm. Let's get to the trading action. How was your weekend, boys? Did you guys watch basketball? I know I was watching baseball, but did you guys watch some March Madness?
Man, I sure did. So my birthday weekend was incredible. I devoted so many hours to watching this basketball tournament. I swear this might be the best March Madness tournament I've ever watched. And I think I might have said that last year because it was so good last year, but it's even better this year. Even with my Hoosiers losing last night, just been an incredible tournament. The amount of upsets, the games, the excitement, it's been awesome. Saw families, saw friends. Had good food, good wine, so good stuff. Ready to get back to the craziness of these markets and this bank problem that seems to be proliferating.
Yeah, we got to get after the market. Of course, there's more situation and uncertainty. Looks like there goes Credit Suisse and UBS buying them up. I mean, some people could say the writing's been on the wall for a long time, but definitely a big bank coming down here and not what we want to see, right? I mean, it definitely shows more uncertainty out there. And I think that at this situation, it's kind of one of those where you really have no idea what exactly to do, right? You just have to take shots or stay on the sidelines. I think that's just what it comes down to, team, because even if you take shots, will you know you're right? Well, maybe when the P&L goes in your favor, but that's really going to be it, right? There's no knowing what's going to happen here. It's how do you want to approach the market? I was talking about it on pre-market prep that even myself, at least from what I see on the price action, I'm actually starting to turn bullish. Can you guys believe that? Why?
Yeah.
Because why would I be turning bullish is just because I've started to notice, at least in my trading journey, right? And of course, this isn't as long as some other traders that have 30, 40 years of experience, maybe traded the other financial crisis. But one thing that I've noticed, at least in this crisis, is the backing of everything. Wherever it is, if it's going to happen in Europe, if it's going to happen in China, if it's going to happen here, we're going to step in and put the Band-Aid, no matter what. And so with that mentality, I think that you also got to be a little bit different in that mentality. I don't think that we can be in the mentality of the end of the world, because if we're going to back everything, nothing's really going to come to the crisis mode. Yes, things might come down, banks might come into issue, but if we're just going to come in and step in every time, well, then I think if anything, we should be thinking about opportunities to the long side here. But that's just my mentality, of course. You guys can be thinking about it in a different way. But one thing I also see is that when I look at the SPY, and I just look at the SPY overall, right, I take a look at where we're at in the market and what situation has happened. And for us to be down as much as we are in the last, let's say, 2 or 3 weeks, right, it's nothing. We are not down barely anything on the overall market, on the SPY. Some people are pointing out to me the IWM. But overall, just look at the SPY. The SPY is showing me that we're hanging in here, that if we could get any positive catalyst to come out of this situation, we could get rolling to the upside. So as long as we're staying above the channel here, I'm going to stay bullish. Now, if we crush through, let's say like 380s or back to 370s by the end of the week, yeah, I understand why you can get more into that bearish tune. But I've talked about it. The channel hold here is really impressive, especially for the situation that we're in.
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind here, Mitch. First of all, I agree with the SPY, and as far as you being bullish, I mean, look at the news flow. Everyone out there is bearish, including myself. I mean, I'm in the bearish camp as well. And when everyone is bearish, that's when you're going to get rip your face off rally to the upside. Yeah. And I think that traders that have been around understand this and are trying to take their shots. I mean, we had a bunch of traders from the Happy Hour program taking shots at FRC and WAL. Not something that I wanted to play because I didn't understand it. Was at a halt risk. They're all different things playing into that. But a couple of the guys in that trading group, they made like 30 grand in a day trading some of these things off the bottom because the bounces were so huge. Speaking of bounces, we got PDD today, which reported earnings, and it is selling off like crazy. You might get a bounce there, but that's a China name. Are you gonna trade that? And as far as the credit UBS thing, you made a really good point. Credit Suisse has really kind of been struggling for years, really since the last financial crisis. And now UBS is coming in and swooping up their assets at 40 cents on the dollar, maybe even lower than that. And the other thing that's funny about this is they were just making the point on CNBC earlier. I can't take credit for this, but this is a good point because I remember this discussion. These European banks, it's almost kind of ending up in a monopoly, right? Part of the part of the thing part of the worry that they had before was that if Credit Suisse and UBS merged, then it would almost be a monopoly. And look what's happening now because of the
high concentration, right? High concentration in the big banks. We see it here in the US. We're also seeing it globally. How much does the Swiss own now of assets? It literally can be like, we would have to combine with England. We'd have to combine with multiple countries just to come even close with what they're managing there, Ryan. Now, it's incredible. I agree with you. It's more a monopoly now. And regulators didn't step in there and stop this because why? Well, because they needed to assure the banking situation.
And remember, I'm not saying that this is going to be a repeat of 2008 of the global financial crisis, which you'll sometimes, by the way, hear me abbreviate as GFC. So just so we all know what we're talking about. But this is kind of what happened before, right? You had one bank go, and then others showed weakness, and then it all started to cascade. And I think that's the big worry here. When SVB first went down, there was talk of, well, this is an isolated event. It's not going to spread. No, that was wrong. So whoever said that, no matter what their title was, or no matter how high up they were wrong. All right, that's over. It absolutely has spread. Now, the question really is going to be, how far does it spread? Does it affect the everyday? Does it affect it? We don't know the answers to that yet. I'm certainly hoping it doesn't, obviously. But we don't know the answers to that. So we'll do our best to make sense of it. Do you mind if I jump into the SPY chart here real quick?
That's why I got you up, my friend.
All right, beautiful. So taking a look at the SPY chart Friday, we sold down to the trend line. This is the down channel from 2022. We sold there and we bounced. And now we're kind of right back here, right under the 200-day. 200-day is at 392.67. One more point just to kind of make, in terms of
relativity. The colors on these charts. These are pretty, man. And I talk about my charts being pretty. I like the colors on it.
Yeah, I use colors just because it helps me identify things. But I'm glad 100%. That at least it's helpful and that it's not too difficult to see.
Yeah, it makes it easy.
One thing to keep in mind here: we're still on the SPY. We're still 40 points above the high right before COVID. So despite all of this down that we've got in 2022, and then over the last 2 weeks that you talked about earlier, Mitch, we're still 41 points higher than we were before COVID struck. So just kind of keep that in mind. And that's just to show you how far we've come, that, that can also mean if we really kind of break down, there might be some air that needs to get tested there, but we'll see. We're not there yet. All right, we're not there yet, and I don't want to be peddling fear or anything here, despite being in the bear camp. Now, we got a big week coming up, right? Because we're going to have the interest rate decision in the middle of this week, right? 21 and 22, so Tuesday and Wednesday this week, right?
Yeah.
So here's the thing. There's going to be some fallout today. There's going to be some stuff today, but I really suspect that the big event, which is going to happen on Wednesday, we might actually kind of slow down until then. And we'll see. We'll see what today looks like. I don't want to go ahead and predict the future, but I think that the big event is going to come midweek here. Now, we're going to have plenty of time to figure out where it's going. Let's go ahead and take a look at some smaller stocks. I don't want to take all of Zunaid's time. Looks like he just solved a huge equation there as he was doing math in his head. So we want to get to that. We want to hear what breakthrough Zunaid has. But let's take a look at the movers tool here. First one is, guess what? Lo and behold, there's going to be some banks on here. So New York Community Bank, this is up 36%. We do have a catalyst here trading higher after Keefe, Bruyette, and Woods, sounds like a law firm there, upgraded the stock to from market perform to outperform. So another vote of confidence here by this analyst firm, which is good to hear, right? Because they're peering into the balance sheet. They're spending all their time looking at the solvency of these banks. And obviously we got an upgrade here. So hopefully things are good. Now, stock trading as high as 913. I'm going to be completely skeptical of any bank. I'm also still skeptical of those range breaks to the upside. Would rather grab these on the curl like we saw here when this came down to 823. Let's see what happens when we get the opening print. NYCB up here, bank issue, but moving up nicely here today. Next one here is going to be INM. Excuse me. This is InMed Pharmaceuticals. Now, I didn't see any catalyst here today. We'll see if we can find something on the Twitter streets a little bit later. But we are trading up here. Got as high as 148. Definitely going to find some resistance there at 150. Settled here at about 130. Again, we're right under the VWAP. Not sure I really trust the range break to the upside. Let's see what the volume flow actually looks like on the opening print. Not in a hurry to trade any of the stuff here today. Don't feel great really about any of this. PACW, this is going to be another one of those banks, right? This is PacWest Bank. Let's see if I can go ahead and get my 1 minute chart here. PacWest Bank shares are trading higher after the company provided an update on its liquidity position. What's going on with my chart? Let me see if I can figure out when my chart just went blank on this. Maybe it's just for PacB. Let me check another. Zunaid, I might go to you and see if I can figure out what's going on with my charts here. That all good?
Go. Yep.
All right, I'll be right back.
All right, let's go ahead and start off with the SPY for me. Let's go ahead and clear these out so we can have a nice little look at things. For me, there's not much I'm going to try to do unless we go ahead and break previous trading day's lows, which comes out to about 388.50s. We'll see how it wants to behave there. Nice little bottom there. Both times you can see it retested it, went to the upside pre-market, didn't even get a chance to test it to the downside. In terms of upside trade, I would look to have the pre-market highs broken. So we'll go ahead and set our alarms right over there. And yes, as you can tell, the smoke detector has been fixed, Crow. We are good to go there. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Qs real quick. The Qs for me is just going to be a simple 304 area right over here. Let's just go ahead and kind of place that puppy there, but not really the clean. You can see it had a little bit of a break. So my focus is going to be more so on the SPY and see how we break out of that range right over there. Let's come on down over to Apple, see if Apple wants to go ahead and maintain this level here about 154.27s or so. If it does, go ahead. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and remove all of this. We'll come back here. We'll nail that puppy right there. If it does want to go ahead and break that, the next area that I see for support is going to be around right here. So almost $1 of a move to the downside. In terms of upside momentum, until and unless it wants to break this 157, I personally will not be interested in Apple to the long side. Downside, might possibly try to get in on that space right over there. Let's take a look at Tesla. 176 is where I'll be interested in taking this one for a little bit of a bounce play, risk about 50 cents or so, and see if I can get $1 out of it at the very least. Besides that, to the upside, I'll see if I find anything, but at the moment, there's nothing there that interests me. Let's go ahead and check out AMD. Sorry, I got a little bit of a slack. On AMD, we'll have the $96 puts if it does go ahead and break it. So let's go ahead and set a nice little alert there. And then, of course, to the upside, if it wants to break 99, to me, it's almost obvious that 100 is going to be that magnet. Now, it may just break it and then go, or it may break, come back, test, and then go to 100. But nonetheless, if it just goes and pops towards 99s and it just doesn't even give you a test, I might look to short this at 100 and see if we can risk about 50 cents and get about 50 cents to the downside as well. So that's something that I'm going to keep an eye on. We've got less than 5 minutes till the bell. So let's go ahead and check out AMD. Levels seem pretty easy for me right over here. You're almost testing the lows of about 256. If it does go ahead and break and have a retest, I'd be interested in this one. To the upside, I wouldn't play it till we can go ahead and break out of this level of 264. On Boeing, $200 level was reclaimed, and then it went to the upside, gave you about $1.50 or so, but nothing crazy. If it does go ahead and break 200, I'd be interested in this one to the downside. On Baba, nothing really here for me to like, so I'm going to go ahead and close that puppy out. I know, we've been paying attention to Charles Schwab. We traded it a few times. You can see how those levels came into play. Finally broke it, reclaimed it, retested it to the upside. Don't really care for it, though. I'm going to let that one go. Snapchat, don't really care anymore. Out. TSM. This is one that we got a chance to play. It had a beautiful ride up, as you can tell, on Thursdays when we had played it. And then obviously on Friday, just kind of chopped around after a nice little 5-point move. Now we kind of wait for the $90 pop. If it wants to move to the upside once again, we wait for the 90 to break, have that retest, and then we can go. If you're trying to short this, you just can try to wait for a break of 89 and see if you can go to the downside. Someone wanted me to check out Google, so let's go ahead and pop out Google, as that one's about $100 or so. Let me go ahead and clear everything out here. There we go. Where is 100? Right there. So currently at around $100. Let's see how it behaves here. You can see you had pre-market on Friday, the $99 level held, but obviously I care about the 100 more. Interested to see how this one plays out. It's so close to 100. I'm not sure where it goes, and now it's below 100. I'd like for this to maybe go to, like, let's say 99s and then come back and test 100, and that's where we can go short. I like the level. I'm just not sure if it's just gonna right here. See, that's the point. Like if it's just gonna hold and then pop up, or if it's gonna break down. I don't know. So I'd rather see which way it wants to go and then try to play it on the retest. So if it goes up, let's go ahead and see how it does on the retest, and we can try to play it that way. Let's go ahead and check out Microsoft. And by the way, whenever I don't know if you wanted the charts back, Ryan.
Yep, I got them.
Cool. It's all you.
All right, thanks. So real quick here, I wanted just to cover a couple of things. INM, thanks, Becca, doing some research here, saying working on cannabinoid treatments for skin disease. Saw some talk about it last night. Okay, hadn't found that yet, but that could explain why it's up here. Thanks for the assist there. The other one I wanted to talk about really quick was CNTB. This is Connect Biopharma. This was as high as 148, 150. It's curling, so we'll see if we get a move there. HUBC, we actually believe traded this last week a little bit. You can see I still have the lines from last week. Let's see if we actually break down or if we bounce back into this range here. I got spots all the way up to 328 on HUBC if that gets going. Bitcoin has been really strong amidst this entire sell-off, so that puts Riot and Mara in play. We're not going to go over each one. They're very, very similarly related. And then the other one here that I wanted to cover real quick was PDD, right? So PDD reported earnings less than stellar, to say the least. But we might get a huge bounce here. This sold off from, 92.5. So we're down about 10 points here. Let's see if we actually clear out 82.30 and then move to the upside. We've seen some of these that sell off really, really bounce pretty ferociously. PDD might be one of those today, so we'll keep that on watch. Okay, just wanted to get that in there. Thanks, Zunaid.
All right, no worries. You can send it back to me. Yeah, it looks like I went ahead and did NVIDIA, but I said AMD. It's my apologies. Let me go back. AMD got the alert set. So 96 break, downside. If it breaks 99, upside. On NVIDIA, a similar story. If it wants to go ahead and break 264 to the upside, I'd be interested. If it wants to come down. Now, this is where it gets interesting, because right now this resistance can be support, or it can go ahead and break it. Not going to try to play it just yet. We'll see how it wants to make out, but would not be surprised in either direction. By the way, Google $100 held in that pre-market, right tested it, and now to the upside we go.
Got a couple of pennies right on the relative volume scanner. Not really interested in either of those out of the gate here. Keep you posted on others.
Let's see. Matter of fact, what I might do is do that.
You know, the other thing to watch regarding some of these technology names, given everything that's going on with the banks, you might see a move in technology names to the upside. I got to think that's people positioning for what they think is going to be a Fed pivot, maybe even a pause. That would be really good for tech. It'll be interesting to see if we get that. Blue chips obviously should lead on that. I see Apple with some strength here today. So we'll watch the tech names and see if that can tip the hand of what the Fed's going to do here.
Let's see.
CNTB tried to move through 128, but immediately sold off. It's one of the things I was worried about here. Not going to trust any of those breakouts, especially not early on. Foot Locker having a nice day here. They had earnings this morning. Sorry, Zunaid, I didn't mean to run you over there.
No, you're good, buddy. AMD seems to be testing the lower level of 96, so we'll see which way it wants to go. It's only been less than 2 minutes.
Foot Locker has a spot here at about 47.20 on the daily chart here. So let's see if we can actually get some movement from Foot Locker. We might want to dig through those earnings and see if that's anything sustainable. Might set up for a multi-day run here, but a break of this 47.20 might be a possible swing long here. You might even be able to get that up for another 10 points, up close to 57. So ticker FL Foot Locker here. Good earnings to start the week here. That might provide a potential swing opportunity there.
All right, guys, for my swing trades, I have swing short for Solar, Blackstone, and XOM. XOM not looking too bad out the gates here. Focusing on First Solar towards the close on Friday in the witching hour, I was able to take some profits in First Solar on the first down action that went towards 198.50s. So going to go ahead and see if we can cut through the 199s here and go to that same level. If we could go back to that level, I think we could crack and go lower. But if we get back above 201s, I'm just going to cut it for a very small loss here. As I took some profits on Friday, it would be kind of more of a break-even trade, but going to look to see if we can actually get that down move.
Real quick, tech, since I just mentioned that about tech, Apple reverts to the lows, Netflix pounding lows, Microsoft lows. So tech showing some weakness there off that opening print. We'll see where that goes. DPST being mentioned by JWild. That is, of course, your 3X Bull Bank ETF. That's the Direction brand bank ETF. That might be something to play here today. Volume should be pretty good. And Crow, good morning, Crow. Happy Monday. Happy new week here. Calling HSTO. Nice little fake breakout there on HSTO. We went through that 138, but came right back in.
Whoa.
No worries on that one. So you've got the $96 level holding on ticker AMD. Still waiting for that one to break if we're going to try to play that one to the downside.
All right, going to see if XOM rejects 100 here, comes right back down. I like some oil shorts out there, team. We'll see what happens today. See if drip goes higher. It's pulling back to 1750s here. Going to keep an eye out on that, and just keep an eye out on the overall market today. SPY is trying to make a little bit of an up move here. We'll find out what happens overall sector-wise. Financial services actually leading here. That's interesting to see. So banks bouncing today. Let's take a look at those. JP Morgan, little bounce there, 127.40s. Will we get some downside action in the banks today, or will the upside come in, right? Are you willing to trade FRC, Zunaid? I know I'm not, but
if it breaks 20, I'd be interested in it, but nothing too crazy on that. Give me a sec. I think we got some. Let's see here. Sorry, I'm trying to look at some calls.
Pac W looking interesting for the 11 break to the upside here.
Well,
already
so that's
above it.
Exactly the stock I was taking a look at. You had Pac W, the $13 calls coming in on the ask, expiring this week, approximately $100,000 worth.
And by the way, PDD breaking down here. Zunaid, let me throw up your charts.
You're good. So here's Pac W. I'd be interested in possibly having this one since you had those options call come in, but I want the $11 level to hold. Or if you want, you can also give it about a 50-cent risk to the downside, but we did have those options come in. Looks like AMD's once again coming to the downside here. I'm going to go short AMD.
Like Yang on pullbacks, team. Yang on pullbacks. See if I can get 1190s today on Yang. Of course, that's bearish China trade.
All right, I'm also short via where are my options? Oh, I have
First Solar, first move coming down here. I'm going to try to take some first profits here in First Solar. All right, just trying to pay myself. There it goes. Boom. Just paid myself there a little bit in First Solar. What this gives me the ability to do now is be break even on the rest. And no matter what, take this as a winner today. Had to manage it correctly. Taking first profits in First Solar to this downside. 199.82s is my entry there.
There you go. AMD flushing to the downside. 96 break retested. Now you've got yourself about 50 cents right there. We want about another 30 cents or so. We may just get it here. Come on. There we go. Come on, keep coming down.
And while that's happening, Tesla might actually break down through the 176.30 area for more downside. Tesla here tried to pop out of the open, immediately reversed and continuing to show weakness.
Nice move there by First Solar. Now down on the bid side towards 197. Looking great there for First Solar to get hit. Going to look for that to continue getting the downside action.
CS bouncing here. This is, of course, Credit Suisse. That's open.
All right, closing AMD. AMD, nice little short. So you can see we had identified this $96 level, right? So once it broke on the 5-minute, on the retest is where I went short. We got a nice little move. And if it wants to come back once again, I'll short it once again. No problem. The order's out.
All right, looking for Yang to come down one more time. Then I'll start playing in that one. That's, of course, a leverage play in bearish China names. You guys heard what happened in PDD. They're getting destroyed. I think we might get news that China could help Russia. And with that, I would think even more of this worry for the China stocks. So if I could get a pullback below 12 today, I'm going long on this Yang. But I'm going to wait. I'm not going to jump it here at 1220s. I feel like I'm chasing there. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, I like that setup, Mitch. Kudos to you on that one. And by the way, PDD is breaking down through that pre-market support here.
Nice.
Also watching Bitcoin. Bitcoin move here down, pounding the lows. Mara and Riot responding the same way as well. I haven't really checked on coin yet today. Guess we could do that now real quick. Coin looking like the same thing, bouncing a little bit, but the same thing, moving to the downside here. FRC is halted, as mentioned by the chat here.
I'm going to try a quick little riskier trade on PACW. Just got in with 500 shares at 1095. Stop loss is going to be about 1079. Looking to take gains all the way up to about 1143. So it's going to be a little bit more of a riskier trade, but almost 3-to-1. Let's see what happens. By the way, on FRC, keep an eye on that $20. That's the main thing I'm keeping an eye on.
And that was a halt up too. So
that is correct.
FAZ. The financial leverage one coming down here. I'm looking to see if we can hold 2450 on this pullback again. That would be a triple bottom or like quadruple bottom between the 2450s and 2440 area. So I'm going to look to see if we could reverse there. It's been pulling back all morning long since about 8 p.m. From Friday and all morning. So I'm looking to see if we can get just a rip back here in FAZ.
PACW to the downside, stopped out.
XOM, I do have a stop set on that one above towards my break-even price. That's 174. So if that comes back up to that level, I will get out of the name. Looking for it to wash down, though, today and really start tackling the lows on Friday and Thursday. Low is 98.02. If we can break 98, I feel we can get some more downside in XOM. Pre-market had it below 98 towards 97.62. And keep an eye to see if we get above 100.
NYCB beneath the VWAP, but trying to bounce here. That's the New York bank.
That's why I like the pullbacks on these kind of banks right now.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Hourly pullbacks, I think, seem to make sense there in certain ones. But like always, just be careful out there, team, with some of these banks. You never know what can happen. I think everyone needs to be kind of worrying about risk first, not reward first. This is where a lot of traders make the error. They focus on reward first versus risk.
Always protect your capital first. Capital preservation should be the first rule. Profits will follow after that. INVO is curling here, met some resistance at the VWAP. Let's see how this actually trades through the VWAP. That might tell us about how it's going to trade going forward. FRC still halted.
All right, finally starting to get that pullback in Yang. So I'm going to look to see if we could crack 12 here, going towards the 1190s. That's where I really want to start sizing into Yang. Got to be careful there, but going after it, we'll find out.
Can you do ENZ? You mean you want to take a look at ENZ? What's it doing here today? Any news on this or anything? Looks like we were just weak pre-market and back to where we were 2 cents above close. I don't see any news here. I'm not sure what you're looking at, Dimple. Nothing really going on here. See how Foot Locker's doing. Rejected off that 47.20 area. Okay.
All right, watching Yang now, it's approaching the 12s as it pulls back into the 90s, low 90s, and to the 80s. That's where I'm going to start getting in. But like always, you guys choose your own investment advice and take whatever trades you guys are looking at. We'll see what happens today. I'm looking at a little bit of the short side to these China names.
UBS, interesting. This was lower in the pre-market, gone green here now on UBS. We'll see where this finishes here. I don't know necessarily how to value UBS on the other side of that deal. I know we saw CS bouncing earlier. Let's check and see where CS is now. Okay, taking a little break off of that bounce, but still holding this one area. Let's see if this sets up for another move here. I think you might get that on a move above 108. We'll see. Ally Bank on the scanner as well. Let's check that. It looks like it just turned around, but we'll check that again.
All right, I see you guys out there taking shots. Be careful out there, but like always, you guys choose your own shots there. How's FRC doing now? Still halted or?
It's open, I think, now.
I'm in the Pack W again at 1096. Stop loss is going to be 1057s. Looking at sell at 1174s.
Pack W,
trying
nice
my
little
best.
throw move there, Zunaid.
I'm trying my best, team, to stay away from the banks unless I'm swinging short, and that's why I have Blackstone. But that's a swing short off of a resistance sideways consolidation, not like some of these banks that are on the support. I'm just staying away from it. I don't think it's a reward that I need.
Mitch, I'm the same way. I also think that you're liable to see a lot of back and forth there, and I don't want to necessarily be shaken out of a trade, right? This is an issue and they're moving, so it's worth taking a look at them and calling them. Yeah. But I'm the same way. I'm trying to stay away from them for my own trading. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think you just got to find what works for you, team.
Yep. Absolutely.
If it works for you, then go for it.
All right, come on, Pack W.
FRC coming back in. Pack W looking good here. Let's see if Pack W can actually break out. 1140. I have the high print intraday there, Zunaid.
We got under 12 there, but didn't get low enough to where I got an entry on Yang yet. I'm going to just keep an eye on it. I'm still looking at some of these China names today. Q's coming down here, just to state that. Q's are coming down there. PDD back at VWAP. So I could look for maybe a short off VWAP on PDD also, but I'm just looking for the Yang style trade. But it doesn't look bad either. Just calling out trades that I'm looking at.
Apple to the lows. Tesla's trying to bounce off the pre-market lows. Decent little bounce there. We'll see if that holds today.
FRC bought some around 2011. Just looking to see if it'll hold that $20 level. Looking to sell it around 2086.
Nice bounce here. If you get a nice bounce here, Zunaid, you might get that.
Yeah, I need a little bit of a dollar visit. Come on. So I'm risking about 50 cents, looking for about 86 cents. See if we can get that.
All right, all out of First Solar recovering there. I'm glad I took some profits today because you guys know how I am. I'd rather take the profits first, then look to break even on the rest because it's a winner. Was able to take winners on the first cut. Got that. Took another profit. Got that. I didn't get the third profit, but I'd rather be break even on the rest of the trade than let it become a loser now. Out of that First Solar swing, it's a win in my book.
FRC weak here. Pack W trying to break out of that 1139, Zunaid. Here, I'll get you trade up. Sorry for running you over there.
No, you're good. You're good. So there we go. We're testing the highs now, right? So we've got the highs right here. The session highs are right here. We're trying to break above that. And we're up about, what is that? We got in at 1096. We're up about 40 cents on the trade. We break this. I am hoping that we go ahead and visit the pre-market high. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is move my stop loss right about at break even. So now I've got 300 shares. If this goes ahead and smacks down like you just saw there all the way, I will be upset I didn't take the $100, but nonetheless, we'll get stopped out at break even. So nothing too crazy to cry about, but nonetheless, here is, yep, we're on the same page. Were you about to go say about FRC?
Yep, you got it.
Go. $20 bounce right there. Again, we're waiting for about 86 cents. We'll see if we get that on FRC. So FRC and PAC-W are my two trades at the moment. And on AMD, I was waiting for that revisit of $86 levels, but it just rejected at VWAP. Didn't give me a chance. I'm going to go ahead and cancel that. So two banks are my trade at the moment.
And that PAC-W ran up against 1140, so it did set a new high by 1 cent. There was definitely some size at 1140, but again, Zunaid, I think if that size falls, you'll probably be able to close that trade for your gain. FRC coming back in a little bit here. Joyce from the chat saying NYCB, baby, best trade of the year. Yeehaw. Let's ring the register on that one, Joyce. Congratulations. Give you a little chewy in there too. Nice job. You guys are taking shots and booking gains. Love it.
Short a little PDD here at the 78.54s. Came in with a little bit of a starter position here on PDD. 79s is the risk here right now. Looking to see if we're going to come right back down towards lows.
Jay saying opposite of last week's rotation from tech to value. So last week they were rolling into tech. This week they seem to be rolling out of tech and back into value. FRC breaking down here a little bit, but a couple of things to note on this are some of the bigger banks really strong today. As note, JPM showing some strength here today. Goldman Sachs showing strength again. I know Goldman Sachs more of an investment bank than an actual, regular bank here, but let's check on Bank of America. Bank of America holding up here. So some of these bigger banks here remaining strong, and maybe that's where that rotation is going to, Jay.
This is why I'm leaning. Yep. This is why I'm leaning, and I got to see the SPY here try to play catch up, right? Lots of highs right now in the SPY. We're looking like we want to break down here through the 390s. Be careful, team. I see the SPY dragging really fast now. You see the SPY right there? Look at all these 390s attempts. And now we're starting to fall off. So just be careful out there, team.
That was a fast rollover too, Mitch. That happened quickly.
Yeah, a lot of attempts, right? You're getting this first attempt that got there towards a new kind of push. You got 1, 2, 3. After the fourth try, what usually happens? A support try. That's what I look for all the time. Now we're to the support. Doesn't mean we have to break support, but are we going to break it? That's something that we need to think about right now. 390s cracking below towards 388s would be that really downside worry. But right now we're right above VWAP still on the 5-minute.
FRC completely filled the gap from the halt that it had earlier today. That's going back to VWAP here, it looks like, on FRC.
Yep, my stop is right below VWAP. It could easily get touched. And also PAC-W, we were up 100, or we're up more than 100. Now we're only up about 70 or so, hoping that one stays up. We're still in both of those trades, have not been stopped out just yet.
We got a little tiny stop out here in PDD. I took a tiny little shot there towards the 79. I didn't want it to get to the 79, so I stopped out of there in the 90s. Doesn't mean that it can't come right back down below, but I was going with a little bit of smaller trade because I'm still looking for Yang, and Yang's starting to come back down there. So we'll see if we're able to get some entries in there. I didn't want to go too big too early, so then that can give me an ability to go for Yang here. Very, very small loss there in PDD. Now I'll look to get after Yang. Banks on banks on banks. Seems like that's what everyone's trading out there.
FRC pretty much a break even, but I'm still going to hold strong and see if we get a pop above and stay. And then PAC-W with a nice little bounce from VWAP, but we still need it to break about the 1139s, which is, 1140, which is the session highs. I want for us to test the pre-market highs.
All right, now Yang trying to cut through. Now I'll take a look at it as it gets to the 90s and the 80s.
FRC trying to bounce here too.
Little starter in Yang, tiny, about 1/5 of what I want to get into. But starter on there in Yang.
Come on, where we at? Where we at? All right, come on, Pack W. Let's go
SPY
ahead and
going
break it.
green here. SPY going green. Take a look at the tech stocks. See if we maybe get some reversals in the long run. Apple and Microsoft can pull back significantly. Apple looks a little bit stronger than the other ones, hanging in here. Doesn't look weak. It just hasn't really broken down either. So Microsoft did look weak there. Tesla starting to come up towards 179s. We'll see what happens there. And Google at around 101.14 on the pullback. Look to see if they reverse. SPY is trying to push here through the 392. Yang now getting into that area where I'm going to start getting sized in here through the 88s.
Come on, baby.
All right, how we doing out there, traders? Watching KGC to see if it'll break 425 high, says Jenny at work. All right. SPY has been green, says Jay Rice. Yes, it has. Tesla over 180. JPM spiking. Let me see how that's moving. Yeah, it is moving higher and fast.
Goldman Sachs did the same thing.
It's going to be interesting, team. I mean, I'm not playing it too much today because I feel like you really kind of got to watch what happens with the FOMC meeting. Yeah. But we're having that bullish reaction. Short term, though, right? We'll find out what happens at the end of the day. Still haven't gotten an ad on Yang. Have some orders out there just sitting.
Patiently waiting for a break of here. Let me actually close out an Ally Bank trade real quick. All right. Patiently waiting for Google to go ahead and break 100 so we can take that one short.
All right. Not getting those ads there for Yang. Going to start sizing in, though, off of the bid. Trying to get some fills.
Come on, baby. Just break the 100. Come on.
Got one fill. Trying to add here. I'm starting to see some of these China stocks break back towards a VWAP. PDD back towards 78.50. Is going to look to see if it takes down towards 76. SPY pulling off the 392s. All right. Got another ad there. 1194s now for Yang.
I'm going to go ahead and purchase some $100 puts on Google expiring this week. Stop loss is going to be 160. Oh, excuse me. Stop loss is, yeah, $100.60 is going to be the stop loss.
All right. Orders out there to add out for Yang. I'm still trying to just build the position here.
Where's my...
All right, we'll see if we get the starting move. PDD now to 78, looking for that to hit down there, and we'll see what happens. Going for the Yang trade here. Getting bearish on China. SPY trying to push back towards 392s there. Keep your eyes on that. Microsoft still lower, just to mention that. Apple now starting to reject to the downside. Be careful. It seems to me like Megatech isn't as strong today for like the way that the SPY is looking. But of course, I think it's like we see it, the leading sector, right, is financials today. A lot of that is like the bigger banks, JPM with a nice little push. Bank of America with a nice little push. You could also look at FAS today, right? The bull 3-time leverage. That's getting a little bit of a move to the upside. We'll see what happens if this can continue to move.
Do I like using TradingView? Yes, I do.
Hit that like. Let's go.
All right, so we've got 3 trades going on. Pack W having a tough time getting above the 1141s, which is a little troubling, but we'll see how that one goes. You've got FRC, which is looking to come back above $10. This could act as resistance and then come right back down to VWAP, and we end up losing money on that trade. And then, of course, ticker GOOGL slightly broke 100, but then came right back with some strength. If it does go ahead and break this VWAP area to the upside, I will go ahead and get out of my contracts, which is currently down about 4%.
How about Tesla? What a bounce off 177 on Tesla here today, man.
Yeah, we were waiting for the 176. We were off by 30 cents.
Yeah, that first attempt there tried to test 176.30, didn't quite get there. When it back tested it again, all the buying volume showed up out of nowhere.
Yep. Oops. Don't know what happened there. Don't know how I can fix it. What just happened?
All right, looking around to see what else is kind of trading out there. If I look at the sectors, I still see financial services leading, industrials, and then energy trade right behind that. Things haven't really gone back to the red today, so just be careful out there if you are on the short side.
All right. FRC coming down. Looks like it's going to stop me out here momentarily. Pack W, unfortunately, looking to test VWAP one more time as well. Come on, Google, just fail. Put up a 3-box for us.
Got to take some profits here in this Blackstone. Man, this is looking nice here. Want to take some profits as I'm up over 5.4%.
Microsoft really weak and still showing weakness here.
All right, just paid myself a little bit in Blackstone, up 5.5% on that name. Going to keep working it. Blackstone BX to the downside.
Hey, Chris, welcome. I know you're new here. One of the things that we don't do here is we do not recommend buys, right? We are constantly harping on the process, not necessarily individual callouts. There's no way we can answer this question here for you.
All right, getting some pullback fills there for Yang now towards 1193s. Can still add about 1 or 2 entries, but just going to start looking to see if I could get that turnaround.
Come on, Google. Failed one more time near VWAP. Meta, new lows. Let's go back to FRC here. Touched VWAP, bouncing again, but has not gotten over 20 just yet. Here is Google looking to bounce right back above 150s.
And Tesla still popping to the upside here. Tesla, big time strength here. Is anyone day trading Tesla? Would love to hear about what your plan is on Tesla.
Move with the market, right?
Well, no, I just mean trading plan. I was just talking about process. I'm talking about like levels, process, things that you use to determine Tesla's bounce. Ferocious bounce here in Tesla and continue to rip towards the highs.
Yeah, I think right now we have to also think that what's happening, right? It's not necessarily, I think, individual moves. I think it's an elevated VIX. So a lot of things are just going to move with the market right now. So just keep that in mind, right? I think as long as the market stays green, yeah, Tesla can ride higher, right? I mean, just look at the chart comparable, right? These are going to be the middle chart and the left chart. Look at that. There's a reason why there's such correlations between the two charts right now, I feel. And a lot of that is what? An elevated VIX. Whenever there's elevated VIX, correlations actually get stronger with the market than weaker.
You've got, there is going to be a pop on, what is that, Google? I'm going to go ahead and cut my loss here. Let me go ahead and pull up my charts on this. Okay, cool. I'm down about 14% on my Google calls, so I am going to go ahead and sell this position here.
Buddy, did you want to say hi to the group here this morning? Look, say hi.
Out XOM team, break even out on XOM, so it's not really a loss, but got out of XOM as it is bouncing today. Oil getting some upside action. Here's Tesla moving higher, the SPY moving higher. So just to keep that in mind, right? That's still looking good. We'll see if that can continue that trend.
FRC and PAC-W trying to move higher. Tell you what, the PAC-W 1 minute chart looks like it wants higher. I know Zunaid, are you still in that?
Sorry, what?
PAC-W.
PAC-W, yeah, I'm still here, pal.
Because
right
this 1 minute chart here, let me show you what I'm seeing here. This 1 minute chart here, it is running up against this. It looks like it wants to try and take this out. Maybe you only get a pop and then it comes back in, but even so, it sure looks like it wants to do that. Good luck on that trade.
Thank you.
FRC looking like it's trying to curl as well here.
I'm adding into Yang here off the 1185 support for me to start to see the turnaround in the China trade.
Thanks, Becca. I'll tell Buddy you said good morning. He only got one from me today, so he's probably in Urban Farms. Thank you. Hawaii Rye. Cat's name is Buddy. Wheezy asking if we did Nike yet. It reports tomorrow. Ooh, good one. So no, I haven't actually looked at that.
I think it's going to depend on how today closes. It's going to be a very important factor. I don't think it will depend on all on Nike.
It's after the market closes tomorrow. Man, unfortunate timing for them with the Fed the next day.
Yeah, it puts some pressure, right? How many people want to take longs into that? At least the FOMC meeting is like in the afternoon. It's not like a CPI, so maybe you still get some like people that want to get after it, Ryan. One thing to keep in mind, though, Foot Locker's guidance forward was horrible. I actually like Foot Locker today for a short. I mean, I know it's going.
I was going to say, and it was trading up here this morning.
Yeah, man, I thought that was a gift this morning with Foot Locker trading up. Their guidance was horrible looking forward. I don't know how the hell you could see it going up, but hey, somebody did. EPS looking forward for fiscal year, just to put it in perspective, $3.65 on the high end. Like their top prediction is $3.65 versus a $4.48 estimate. That's pretty off there for me. And that's not like your Q1. If that was Q1 outlook, I wouldn't be so stressed. But that's your whole next year, right? Your whole fiscal year 23. They're seeing negative.
SG&A wasn't up much. Operating margin 2.5%.
BDD back below VWAP. Now I really want to start seeing the Yang start getting back towards 12s.
So here's one of the things I think you're seeing here in the Foot Locker's performance today. We are entering 2023 with a focus on resetting the business, simplifying our operations, and investing in our core banners and capabilities to position the company for growth in 2024. So it looks like what they're doing is they're kind of just, resetting this year, using that year to reset, and that might lead into that guide there, Mitch. And I mean, if they're going to focus on resetting the business, I would imagine that, there are still going to be some cost cutting measures that are going on with this. That might be why it's trading higher.
And that's fine. But I mean, your guidance is your future earnings, right? And so at least in my eyes, the future earnings look horrible.
Right. But I think what they're doing is they're saying, hey, we understand it looks not great for right now, but we're resetting. We're trying to get it higher here.
Yeah. My biggest outlook is I think Foot Locker in the long term is what? They're facing more and more issues with DTC business.
Jay is saying it's cheap, only 11x here. That's why it's trading up. That's absolutely it. Or that
Value
absolutely
name.
could be playing into that for sure.
Definitely, especially if you're going after value names today. But that could be like a short-term trade also. It could be long for the short term, then gets hit.
Stop loss hit on FRC. I'm out.
How is that bank life going today? I'm trying my best to even stay off those charts.
Pack W, testing VWAP again. If this breaks, I will get stopped out at break even. So not going to lose any money.
Yeah,
there.
I don't even call that a stop out. I call that a cut trade. Like it's like a neutral trade almost.
Yeah.
Really, when you think about it, you gave yourself a shot and you cut out. Honestly, there's nothing wrong with that. I see scalpers do that all the time. I like to do that, especially with my swings, especially if I can get some kind of profit. Right now, holding off of Yang's 80, 1180. If 1180s break, I'll get out of this. But we're just seeing PDD and Baba just like reject resistance here. So I'm looking to see if PDD is going to go into the 80s here one more time. If it does that, that's going to get me out. Baba can reject 81s one more time, and that would be a triple top there. But if he gets above 81s, that's where I got to get a little bit more concerned about this move, right? We'll see what happens here. Like always, need to have situation awareness on both sides. What does the bullish chart look like? That's a move above 81s here for Baba. We'll see what happens.
Pack W, break even, out.
Pack W. There was that other one that was moving, right? I think you guys have been talking about it, that the community bank one. I think Ryan.
The only two I've been talking about is FRC and Pack W.
Did you see NYCB today? I know that one was one that was being watched at.
I did not. You also have Google that rejected 101 once again. Could not get past it.
I think Ryan mentioned it. Oh, that one did a nice little VWAP bounce back to the 910s. Show you guys that on the left-hand side here. NYCB went up, came back to VWAP, bounced back there towards 910. Trying to do like kind of a cup and handle pattern right here. You can see it here. Keep it wide here. Cup and handle pattern. Here's the cup. Here's the handle. Needs to really break through this resistance for it to complete the pattern to the upside. That's a move through 918 here. Cup and handle pattern, New York Community Bank Corp, NYCB. I'm not trading it, team. I'm not going after the banks. But hey, just calling out what I see out there. All right, what you gonna do, China? Coin worth the swing? Everything can be worth the swing as long as you have a plan. I would say that. Now, it's going to be more of a matter, is it going to be beneficial to you? You know, does it make the right risk to reward outlook? Those are things that you need to be asking yourself, right? Well, coin has already gone up in the last, let's say, week, about 49%. So there could always be pullbacks, but is this where you want to go enter? That's where you got to go and understand about Coinbase. That's going to be a decision that you have to make. Of course, I would look at prior resistance trying to become support. And that's around, for me, around 73s today. And you saw a cut through to 72.87. See if 73s kind of hold. That's a prior resistance to see if it becomes support. Being said, it's worth a swing if you have a good eye and a good Louisville slugger. It's crazy that Louisville slugger is not even the top baseball bat anymore. But that's life. All right, going towards the sectors overall, financials still leading, communications services doing well there. In financials, bigger things that are doing well, right? I like to look at high cap names that are doing well. JPM, of course, 1% up today. You got MasterCard up today, Visa up today. That doesn't look too bad there. MS, Morgan Stanley with a nice bounce. Glad I took the money and ran in Morgan Stanley as that's bouncing back today. And a smaller bank that is up today, but, you know, still big relative in size, Royal Bank of Canada. That's RY. It's at the VWAP right now. Citi up today. Goldman Sachs up today. So keep your eyes on these pullbacks. We'll see what happens on financial services. You still in Google? No, I never got in Google, man. I'd be I would love to have had it in 90s.
That was an awesome entry there on 90.
Yeah, if you have it, I mean, Hawaii, we're coming to you, man.
I mean, you even talked about it. You had that level
Yeah,
identified,
man.
Mitch.
Yeah, it's one of those where, sometimes like, especially like doing this job, and I think that you run into this, Ryan, with like maybe the happy hour, is sometimes you see clear if you're not into the trade.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
You see clear, like you can just focus on just this because I don't have no risk assessment. That I think played into how Google is.
Absolutely, that happens.
All right, going to take a look to see if we're going to start seeing a turnaround in some of this trade, right? The big thing for me is, does the SPY come back to the downside here? SPY rejecting a little bit here in the 392s. So I'm going to look to see if we go back to 392s. If not, going to look at that as some resistance right now. We just poked our head through that and then now rejecting that. Let's see if we come back to 391s. That's the VWAP attempt. Getting a hit here on Yang. It's going to cut through towards 1179. Want to see if we can recover on this 5-minute candle. If not, going to get out. Being said, we call that stock bias. What? When you have a position in it? Is that what you're saying, Bean? And that's nothing wrong with that. I like that outlook there, if that's how you call it.
I think that's one of the reasons why people like to have discussions with others about positions they have, right? Someone else might not be in the same position and might be able to give you some insight that you don't have because of your buy. If you own something, you obviously want that to perform, right? 100%. You bought it. You have a bias for it. You bought it. That's not like a bad thing. It's just trying to understand and synthesize information correctly. What is going on with this cat?
Party time. Party time at Ryan's with Buddy.
He doesn't want me to work. He's so mad that I'm at this damn computer.
I agree. Hendricks does the same thing, man.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, back to work? Come on, man. I'm trying to slack off.
He wants to play. He's wild right now. He wants me to play with his toys.
Yeah, he does.
Really quick, W, you're asking me about AI. I think AI was kind of a fad type move. I think this was one of the reasons that tech held up so well, is because AI was driving a lot of that and tech was kind of riding the waves of that. Take a look at AI here. To me, this looks like a 20 test is coming in here. And if this breaks down, I think you could go 15, 16 on AI. If not, maybe you do bounce from here. It's really struggled to get above 28.50 to 29. So we'll see if it ends up doing that here. To me, we're kind of in no man's land right here. My overall, I guess my bias, we're just talking about bias here. My overall market bias is leading me to say, I'm not sure on this. I think this might break down. I think the AI fad is somewhat past.
Yeah, especially with so much of the focus now being in banks.
Yeah, exactly. And rising rates being not good for tech. Now we'll see what happens. Maybe the Fed does pause. I don't think they're going to pivot. Maybe they do pause. My expectation is 25 bips this week, but we'll see what happens. I mean, I've been wrong before. I'll be wrong again, I'm sure.
I got back into Pack W. You're going to risk about 1079s in with 500 shares this time. Looking for a pop back again to the pre-market highs. So I'm risking about 130 bucks, looking to make about 350. Let's see.
Tell you what, all of those plays off the movers, none of them really worked. How's INM doing?
Zunaid's working. It's going to work.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's see if it holds.
None of this any good.
ECB press conference on, saying Walter. Appreciate the mention, Walter. Starting to see that down action coming in for these China names. I could go after PDD and Baba short now, but that's the same play, right? That's double dipping, triple dipping, but it does look good, the setup. So I'll look to see what happens here. Still playing this Yang outlook. Here are my charts so you guys can see that outlook and why I think PDD rejected that box up there and now could come below the VWAP. Baba went right back to 81s, triple top there. Now going to look to see if we come after those China names. All right. Yang starting to get a little bit of an uplift.
CNTB kind of gave us a curl here. This is what I mean about the upside targets, right? The high from the pre-market. Yeah, we did take it out, but we pulled right back in. Let's see if we get another setup here. Maybe a push away from VWAP on expanding volume would be possible here.
All right, starting to see downside coming for Baba. We'll look to see if we actually cut through towards the 80. INVO looks like it wants one. Those are hard ones, I'll tell you right now. The ones that are trying to get through $1. I take a look at it right now, but I think my trade can move at any moment here, so I'm focusing in, team. All right, looking around to see what else is making moves, team. It's that kind of day, that kind of week. A lot of action. All right. What's going on in the intraday action here? Checking my Benzinga Pro, looking for stocks that are up on the day. I see Enphase up, and I know that got a ratings change there. Maxen's up, so some solar names showing up here. JKS, CISQ. So it looks like solar getting a nice bounce today. Some of these solar names up big. Starting to see Baba start taking down here. I want to add to my Yang here. So added there. Now towards 1189 as my average. Looking for this to actually start really breaking. So I've been sizing in this whole downturn in Yang. Now I'm looking for that reversal action. Now that Baba is really starting to cut through, want to see PDD cut through also. Could go after those names also, but I'm not going to like double, triple dip there. But we'll see what happens here with these China names now. EMPH making moves. Yeah, tried to state about the solar names. Those are doing pretty good.
All right, stopped out on PAC-W.
Turn around
Came
there.
right back down.
Yeah.
Focus is still on Google here. As you can see, the 101s continue to reject. VWAP holding, waiting for the break of 100.
What's up with the SPY? SPY's coming down fast now. It rejected the 392 move that we just talked about a little prior. Wicks up there, but no closing. Closing on the last two candles, 391.72. And now we're on the next 5-minute candle back through the VWAP. So just be careful. I think you got to watch for to see if you crack through 389s on downside. That's where I think you see continued downside action. But also look at the banks today, right? Those are what led to kind of the little push back here. Do we get VWAP bounces for JPM, Bank of America, things like that? That's what I'd be looking for. They're all around the VWAP right now. But I'm just trying to see, are we going to VWAP bounce here? Or are we going to come right back through the opening price? There's GS coming back to VWAP. We'll see what happens to these banks, right? JPM on VWAP, Bank of America, right? What happens to these? Do they VWAP bounce today, or do they cut through and come right back down through the opening price? Something to watch. SPY would come back. If like we get this bullish move, it'd be like kind of like a breakout through the 392.50s. We'll look to see if that happens. Anything above closing above 392s on this next 5 minutes would make me a little bit more on that bullish side.
Going to try short equity wise here on 391.22s on the SPY, 391.22s on the SPY. Short 100 shares. Stop loss is going to be 392.23s.
Still getting a little bit of downside action here in Yang. Still didn't really get the flip back through towards the 12. So got to really be careful if these stocks break through the resistance. At least one thing I can say is I've been patient today. Took some gains on some swings. Got out of First Solar for a gain there instead of a loss there. Break even on that. Got out of XOM, break even. Took some gains in Blackstone. Took a tiny hit in PDD earlier. But just being patient today. Not trying to swing too much in this environment. I need things to calm down before I take swings versus me taking swings when I just really feel like there's a lot of uncertainty still there.
And I think that this week is going to kind of add to that, right? We're gonna learn a lot about it later this week. So
yeah, that's why for me, my foot is more on the brake pedal than the gas pedal in this environment, just because there's too many questions. We don't know what's going on right now with China and Russia. What are they talking about? We don't know what's going on in North Korea. North Korea was getting pretty agitated as of late. So there's still a lot of worries out there. It's crazy to think that there's that much worry in the world, but there really is.
LFCR Crow, you were talking about this being a good chart. This was actually a good chart. Really, the volume expansion, all we got here, didn't have key levels identified for this. Now we did stop right about where we bounced on Friday. One thing to note here, if we take a look at the news on this, this morning we had Stevens and Company downgrade it to equal weight and lower the price target to 2. And then we had Barrington maintain their outperform, but lower the price target to 8. So a little bit of discrepancy there. Looks like on Thursday, they had some pretty weak earnings, which was leading to this explore strategic alternatives, which could be a sale of the company, a potential debt or equity financing transactions. So if you're going to trade this one, I would say be careful. This is an in or out for sure. Be really careful on this one. Was a nice chart here this morning, but I'm not sure what was actionable off this. See if we get a break above here. Still pretty gappy up to 5 from the 240 area it's at right now.
China trade still not breaking down. Now PDD and BABA bouncing off VWAP, trying to make its way back towards the resistance. We'll see if we get into the 80s for PDD, above 81s for BABA. Just keeping an eye on it. All right, what else is going on in the market, team? China and Russia are talking about how to screw the U.S. I hope not.
I mean, that's always the case.
That's the truth. All right, looking around to see what else is showing up on my strength things, right? What are trading well today? I see some names like I'm looking around, looking to see if anything stands out to me, right? MicroStrategy still up. Let's do the last 15 minutes.
SPY stopped out.
Don't worry. I'm about to get stopped out in Yang. Ain't looking bueno. Starting to get that up move. And the SPY probably coming back to the upside. Yup, 392 move. Back to the upside there. 75 is definitely going to get me out here in Yang. They're about to hit. I'm literally on the penny here. Unless BABA can turn here. But if it makes that move right now towards the 81s, you got to be careful. The push is going to come. And with this SPY recovery, I'm still looking to see if Microsoft can recover, Google, some of the bigger stocks, right? They're hanging around VWAP there. At least Google is. Apple just pushed higher, so that looks at least good. Tesla continuing the strength to the upside there. That one's continuing to push. Microsoft reversal. SPY wants to go higher. Doesn't look too bad for me. We'll see if the SPY wants to get higher or not. All right, might get a 15-cent stop out here in Yang. Just keeping an eye on it here to see if we can somehow turn back around here on this BABA trade. but it doesn't look bueno, especially with the SPY going a little bit higher. Could easily just push me out. Some daily support in this area, so I'm looking to see if that's what it's just trying to play into. Let's put another layer here for resistance on BABA. So there's like a couple of layers here. It's around the 85s, 85s, and then 81s. We just rejected kind of that 85 move. We went to 81. I'm literally going to probably just take this one, well, one style trade, right? I did PDD also, but probably going to be on the day trading side after this trade. It's either going to work or it won't, and then I'll end the day. Not trying to overtrade in this environment. I feel like this environment is easily one to overtrade in.
Easily. And that's
Pack
one of the
W.
themes.
Sorry, go ahead.
That's one of the themes we've been discussing in happy hour is not overtrading. You feel like you have to. You feel like you have to put a trade on, but in reality, you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do it wrong, you're actually compounding your problem. You're making it harder on you.
Pack W looking to get above 11s one more time. The VWAP is there, being strong.
Getting tested on that 80-85 here for BABA. Looking like it just wants to break through that 81. And then that means out for me. Means the triple top there actually becomes what? Rule of 3 breakout. And so definitely don't battle. I don't battle breakouts, right? I'm very close to that breakout there for BABA. We'll see if we get it or not. Out. Could already see Yang coming down there, cut it out there, took the hit. It's okay, team. I'd rather take one hit. It was a good shot. We'll see what happens now. If the SPY wants to turn back to the downside or break out through 393s, could look at Microsoft for a swing here if it wants to start coming back up. Out of that
the market might be range bound until Wednesday.
It could be very much. And JPM did bounce though. Kind of remember we talked about would the banks bounce? We got some bounce in the VWAP bounces. Look at Bank of America's VWAP bounce. Went right to it. 28.11, 28.09 on pullbacks. JPM double bottom around 27.69, 27.71. VWAP at 27.82. So it does look good on the banks today. It doesn't look as bad. They're not getting flushed in their situation. Does this mean that the situation's done? No, but I also think that you can maybe kind of day trade these to at least get some of the momentum back. But I'm sticking, if I'm trading the banks to the bigger banks and the smaller ones, it's just very tough to trade those smaller names. Haven't traded like an FRC once. Haven't traded those regionals ever in my life. So I'm not trying to start doing that now. I can trade though, if I want some bigger banks like JPM and Goldman Sachs, but remember, I still have that Blackstone position that's pretty low right now. So this could still come lower. I'm going to keep swinging this. SPY looks like it wants to keep going higher here. Just looks like to me, climbing the wall of worry. And I feel like there's too much worry out there, a lot of panic. And I understand the panic, but I've also learned more and more to try to be bullish in these panic moments. It's crazy, but I'm starting to get to that point where I can actually say that I feel like I'm getting more bullish in these panic runs.
Buy when there's fear out there, Mitch. I used
to say that line, Ryan, and not really feel it inside. Like I could do that, right? Now I'm starting to get a little bit more. When I hear the craziness out there, I'm like, all right, so where can I go ahead and look for the turn? What's needed for the turn? That's why I'm looking at things like, well, if the Fed doesn't raise rates, is that to turn? Right? And so I think you watch these tech stocks. They're going to give us a lot of signals. It could very much be that tech could be the best sector of the year. Who knows? We'll find out.
I'm going to go ahead and commit a crime once more. Third time's the charm. Maybe, kind of, sort of. Pack W, we're back in it. 250 shares at the moment, looking to get 250 shares more at 1102s, which is right near VWAP. Stop loss for me is probably going to be around 50 cents or so, but let's see if I get the additional 250 shares or not. On FRC, I did go ahead and get back in with 250 shares at 2018. I will say I am definitely in a little bit of a tilt mode, but
Morgan Stanley trying to go
What
higher
got you
here.
tilted? The banks?
yeah. And unfortunately, unlike the deposits, my trading is not covered by the FDIC.
Unfortunately. Depends. If you're a bank, it might be. Ooh. Monday.com showing up for me. I'm starting to get into the green. Indy showing up for me. INDI. Nice little VWAP bounce. I'm looking around for trades now, team. Not going to take too many trades right now. But yeah, being greedy when others are fearful has worked in the past. We'll see if it works again. One thing that I state, man, the SPY for it to be holding here at 390s when banks are crashing around us really boggles my mind that we're not back down towards 360s. So that's why another reason why I'm just feeling like a little bit more to the bullish side, because it's pretty impressive. Sideways consolidation in a financial crisis, at least in my understanding, shouldn't happen. So that's why it's a little bit confusing.
All right, got filled at 1107s is the average now on my pack W.
SPY creating another like kind of resistance above where the last body closed when it was up here, which was 391.63s and 392s 51s. So 5-minute candles just topping right there. 15 minutes still looks pretty strong. Could come back to VWAP, but we'll see what happens if we get to the 393. The Fed is bailing them out again. Yeah. I was sad when the markets took off. I was having fun buying cheap shares, said Caleb. Hey, got to take it when you can get it, right? Need to take out lower lows for the SPY to break down. We keep doing higher highs or higher lower highs. So that's interesting to note.
Market pretty much got rejected at the exact same spot on the SPY on this bounce up. We'll see if that takes out. I mean, to me, I guess maybe we trade right back down here.
You know, it's one thing to note. Remember, I talked about how the IWM looked more bearish this morning, and some people are trying to point that out to me. Look how the IWM is in kind of more of that bullish tune right now. So it is kind of reversing from those daily levels, right? You can see the daily support here around the 170s. Look how it's just starting to turn around there on IWM. 5 minutes trying to push higher through that 175. That makes me think that we could go a little bit higher here on this pullback. So I could look at it maybe like an FAS kind of trade, but I like more like maybe JPM or some of these bigger banks to go after that kind of little push. Morgan Stanley, names like this is what I'm looking at.
I don't really see much.
Yeah, there's not much. I would agree with that too. There's not much.
I don't. Yeah, and I'm looking around. I mean, I'm looking at. I'm seeing call buys for Bank of America, but I mean, I'm looking at the unusual options. The relative volume scanner is not really flashing any new opportunities. A lot of stuff's the stuff we've talked about, and it's debatable whether or not that's even, in play here.
My scanner showing Ryan with Benzinga Pro. Look out for AI, and then look at AI right now. Middle chart for me. That's pushing a little bit here. Not the biggest move, right? It's about 2% in the last 15 minutes, but nice little 3 candles to the upside there, trying to push towards about 225s. I'm not really looking at AI today, but you are trying to break out of this kind of sideways bearish chart, which would be next spot 22.26 as resistance. We'll see if it pushes through there.
Yeah, and if you look at the daily chart, Mitch, you've got a range between 22.5 to 20.5 for what, the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days, so almost 2 weeks now.
Keep an eye out on that. We'll see what happens. Value names getting a little bounce.
Trout Bum saying he's seeing lots of puts for Nike. That would be ahead of the earnings tomorrow afternoon. Didn't notice any of those, but it's possible. I've been so
Undercutting
focused on the
rally
banks, I've
trade
probably
looks
missing some of
good.
that stuff.
Yeah, I can see the banks coming back to test the VWAP right now, and then we'll see if we actually get that move today or not. See them pulling back though.
So the only Nike puts that I'm personally seeing that's interesting to me is $100 puts on Nike expiring April 6th, approximately $20,000 worth. They paid about 65 cents for those puts, so that's a pretty bearish bet, if you will. But again, is it a hedge? Is it this? Is it that? I don't know. But I
On
do
which
see
one
that
was that, Zunaid?
transactions. Nike $100
Nike.
strikes puts. Yeah, $100 puts on April 6th expiration.
That's interesting. Foot Locker trying to come back up through the VWAP. Just looking around at some charts, team. You guys got anything to look at? Just throw it up in the chat. I'm only in my swing trade of Blackstone now, so just trying to be patient. And I feel like I need to get through this market environment, not trying to lose a crap ton of money. And so in my eyes, I'm trying my best to just be patient, look for some trades, get through this situation. Then I can trade a lot, especially if we're going to go into a new bull market, right? I've been still waiting on the sidelines for that. We'll see what happens.
One of the Nike puts that I saw here today were the $100 strike puts that expire January 19th of 2024. So someone bought 1,000 of those, spent $605,000 on this position, looking for Nike to really kind of sell off the rest of the year here, as these are into January of 2024. So that bet is definitely a downside bet. Interesting that they took it ahead of earnings here today, but giving plenty of room on the other side for that move to materialize. Maybe you get a pop and drop. Maybe you just get a straight sell-off here on that.
All right, I do see a mention in Benzinga Pro, 1036.17. Amazon is laying off an additional 9,000 employees. And as you're seeing, Amazon get a little bit of a spike on that, now pulling back to the VWAP. If you like this opportunity, you can take a look at it. I'm not taking a shot just because of the way that the SPY actions today is just not giving me like the SPY wants to go in one direction. It could just be chop land all day long until the FOMC meeting later this week. So I'm with you, Ryan, that we could see the chop. That's why I don't want to trade more right now in the SPY. There's JPM now starting to pull back to the VWAP. If you guys are thinking the banks are going to bounce big, that's something to think about. You have a double bottom around the same area. But this is that Amazon chart I was talking about. That did get a little bit of a spike, but then pulled back immediately. And then the SPY, look at the topping action here. So with that being said, unless we were like really ripping on IWM, maybe I could take a look at that. But even that's starting to pull back. Qs overall back to VWAP. So it just doesn't look good today, team. More chop. It doesn't look bearish to me, but it doesn't look also bullish like we just want to rip. So it's kind of a mixed signal today with the banks getting a little bit of a bounce. You can see that in like a Bank of America, right? A little bit of a bounce, but it's not a major bounce, right, either, right? I mean, look at JPM overall. It is starting to come back, but still hasn't really kind of breaking up to the upside, right? It's just kind of pullbacks from the losses. Lyft is beautiful. Oh, man. I don't know how the hell you could trade Lyft, but hey, to each his own, right? Sometimes when people stop paying attention to the move, that's obvious. Some random stocks will just kind of get a lift. And look, that's a nice move. I can't blame you. It's a good move, grateful God. If you're able to land that type of trade, hey, shout out to you. I just know that I wouldn't be looking at Lyft. So if you're able to nail a trade like that, hey, I'll tell you what, better than me in that case. I know I wouldn't be going after Lyft.
Yeah, I'm hands off on Lyft.
But if Lyft is going up, I could see Uber maybe playing a little bit of catch up. And you do see it playing a little bit today as that relationship sometimes works out.
Crow, we waiting for 500% runners on the penny stocks? We'll see if we end up getting those. The summer, that does actually happen quite a bit during summer. We'll see how weak we are. We'll see what the summer looks like here.
Yeah, you need, I would think, some calming down in the bank situation, and then maybe the interest rates to be at a pause. Yeah, you could get those penny stocks to start moving. What was holding those penny stocks back, right? They have great growth outlooks, a lot of them.
The
but what holds
inability
them
to get
back?
money. No money.
Exactly, no money. And if they already got money, well, guess what? Those interest rates are going higher, baby. And so they got to keep up with that. So they're going to have to raise money. But a lot of these, if the interest rates were stopped going up, they would start to say that, hey, we have sufficient enough capital to get through, like, I don't know, maybe the rest of the year or something like that. And so you could see some of these get the pop. We'll see what happens in that situation.
And Charles Schwab puts their little, but I haven't actually checked on Schwab yet today.
All right, JPM went right back to VWAP. So it was around 127.90s. VWAP was 127.88. So you went down right above it. We'll see what happens now. SPY is trying to make that move to the upside. Can it make the move? That's something to keep in mind. Goldman Sachs pulling back significantly here, back to the VWAP. That one had touched VWAP, but all the way back at 950. Just seems to me like a little bit of chop land. Like I'm trying my best not to keep trading. Like it's hard sometimes. I'll tell you, team.
Because you just want to. You want to.
Like I'm itching. I'm itching over here, team. Yeah. I'm itching. I've only taken essentially I would say one trade, because that first trade was so small that the stop out is nothing compared to like the Yang.
I feel bad. I took nothing today. I'm sorry about that, but I'm not going to force it.
That's okay. I would rather traders say that they're not going to force it, right, than to just be like looking back, right? I think that's one thing that we don't want to be doing. And Ryan, you said it from the very beginning. You didn't want to be jumping into a lot of these banks and taking shots in this. So I think that's what matters more, is like having that planned attack before the day to keep your risk control on, right? Yeah. I mean, can I make money in these banks? I mean, there's a lot of money made and lost in these banks today, right? So yeah, there is ways to be making money. There is some traders that will be making money, but I just feel like it's too much of a trade and difficult of a trade for me to try to capitalize.
And you know, I'm trying to call things off the same process that we do all of the time, because that's where the comfort level is. But what I'm not trying to do is just mention a bunch of things that are going to get people hurt, because if I don't have an understanding about what's going on and I'm just shouting stuff for the sake of shouting stuff, that's not helpful to anybody. Instead, if we don't know what to trade, I'm looking into things. I'm reading different things that I see about different stocks and what's going on in the market in general. I'm trying to figure it out. I'm trying to find something that's going to be worthwhile for us.
Yeah, and it's very challenging when you're seeing these kind of moves, right, where you get almost kind of this, let's call it right now, it's a bull trap in JP Morgan right now. But the question is, will it turn into a bullish move? Sometimes these bull traps could actually be bullish moves, right? Yeah. And so we don't know until hindsight's 2020, you know, after the fact. And that's why we're looking at them. And it's difficult for me to look at JP Morgan and even take the long here. Normally, this is a easy long for me to take with the risk off of like 127.50s, right? On JPM right here. But right now, it just seems to me like I'd be like almost predicting or hoping that the trade is going to just rip to the upside. I think it's still too early with the uncertainties out there. So we'll find out what happens in the banks today. If we get some more talk in the banks, that's why I'm keeping watch on, of course, Benzinga Pro's news section, right? Because the news section is going to just give me everything that's coming out. You guys can set this with importance. Ryan, you want to maybe show a little bit of that, how we use our news feature to watch things hitting the tape and watching the action coming through, because that's where you're going to get a lot of your kind of news reporting today, right? It's just going to be like the tape. It comes out on the tape and all of a sudden you see traders react.
Well, it's twofold. It's twofold, Mitch. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to show the calendar. We talk about this all the time. We don't have a lot of economic events on deck here for today. However, if I go ahead and I change that range to this week, you can see that changes considerably. And Mitch, to your point about the importance column, this is I don't even really use filters. Right now, I have this filter to only show me United States economic events, but then I sort it in terms of importance. And what do you see here? Fed interest rate decision, durable goods, core durable goods, and new home sales and existing home sales. Those are going to be our really important prints for this week. So this is what I'm going to be ready for. Got it on tomorrow. We have the existing home sales. Wednesday, we have the Fed rate decision, and then new home sales on the 23rd, and then the durable goods numbers on the 24th. So right there, that's going to kind of set up. Now, if you want to take a look at some of the other events here, you can as well. But Mitch, this is where I start my day every day, and I've shown this. I've shown this to people a number of times here, right? Definitely starting with the most important news, which you can find by just filtering your news feed by ticker SPY. Super easy. Literally type in 3 letters SPY and sort your news feed by that. You'll get all of the information. Here you can see Sunday, we're busy posting information about what was going on with these banks and all that stuff. That got me prepared here for this morning because, like I said, I was not worrying about the banks on my Saturday and Sunday. I was worrying about my bracket, which was getting destroyed from the basketball tournament. So I really quickly needed to refresh myself on everything that was going down, and then I also capture reasons on why things are moving. And this tool right here just makes it so much easier for me because I don't spend a lot of time doing that. I can spend more time on my bracket or here with you folks while we're doing this show.
All right, interesting moment. I think it's like a make it or break it for the banks right here. They're fighting in here, right? They're trying to bounce right now, but will they get that bounce, right? You see JP Morgan right off of near those double lows around 127.69 and 127.71. Where are we in pricing right now? We just bottomed another 5-minute candle at 67 and another one at 66. So very important fight zone right now. IWM trying to make another move back to the upside. Goldman Sachs is going sideways off this 309 right below the VWAP. So that's also fighting, trying to hold VWAP. We'll see what happens there. Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, and some of these banks, will they make the next lift up? I think it's all going to depend also on the IWM and the SPY here trying to go higher back towards 393. If that does happen, I could see these VWAP bounces for fill-in. Of course, like always, you guys choose your own investment advice, and there's the SPY trying to make the move. Now let's see if the banks follow. I'm not going to take the trade team as much as it looks perfect to me, and it does look great for me. Like always, I got to always understand that I set the plans really early sometimes and control my risk to reward with situations like this. And this is one of those situations where the patterns can look great for me, but I'm going to stay on the sidelines.
I'm waiting to see what Google does, as it's between $1 range for the past hour plus.
I think one of the things that benefits us, Ryan, let's say versus like, let's say, and not to bring them up because it's not a negative towards them, but like Trader TV, let's say, right? You guys probably know Trader TV out there, right?
We interviewed Sean from there.
Yeah,
Great.
Yeah, definitely. I actually am followed by Sean, and I talk to Sean all the time. But one thing that I would say about them is that, you know, they have to kind of trade for their living, right? That's what they do. Yeah, they're probably getting paid to be on the show too, but they're prop traders, right? They're making their living on this trading action. Where Ryan and I, we don't have to make our living off of this, right? And I think that's very important that Ryan and I keep that mentality, because that, I think, saves us in thinking that we need to trade in this environment. Yeah. Ryan and I have a tendency of thinking, well, we're going to be in this market for a very, very long time. So I can wait. I can wait to look for some more opportunities later down the line. But yeah, it's not a negative towards the Trader TV guys. It's just more along understanding different traders are going to be able to trade differently. And it sometimes depends on if your livelihood depends on it, right?
I was going to say, how many of you have other jobs that you try to get to? And then that's effectively what Mitch and I have to do. We have other responsibilities throughout the course of the day. And I think that, you know, a lot of the people that are in here are in the same situation.
Yeah. And with that being said, you know, I have to protect myself. It's not like I could take this bank trade and then just try to stay with it the whole day. I would have to put stops and stuff like that. And I think that there's a lot of times where I've learned to try to stay away from the riskiest trade in the market. I think right now the riskiest trade in the market is the banks. Is there big reward?
Sure is.
But hell yeah, there's big reward. But there's also a lot of risk there with that type of trade. Guys, I started off with Trader TV, but I settled with you guys. You guys trade with money and they trade with their boss's money. They shield DTW and makes it sound too easy. Yeah, that's my only thing. You'll see that I definitely never try to make trading sound easy, because I'll tell you right now, the day that I do, please call me out on that, team.
Yeah.
Please call me out.
Because it's not easy.
It's not easy, man.
If we're making it seem easy, then we're not doing our job.
Yeah, we're not doing our job.
The reality is that some time periods are easier than others. That's true of anything. But the overall job here, Zunaid, do you think trading is super easy?
Absolutely not.
And is that why you have
game.
your hands dipped in other things, just like Mitch and I do?
Yeah.
And
So like, go ahead, finish your point. Yeah.
I was going to say, to me, that's the smart thing. That's all I wanted to add.
Yeah. I mean, so just to give you guys an example, right? So like I think based off what Mitch and Ryan have said, my income is 70% like trading, right? And then the other 15 to 30% is I do some other stuff for Benzinga. I work esports, and I have, other Madden stuff and things like that I do as well. So it's like, yeah, there is supplemental income that comes in for me, but even then, and that's why it's a difference between what Mitch and Ron were saying, right? Like they don't necessarily have majority of their income coming from trading. So for me, it's like, okay, cool. I've got to go ahead and try to put some trades on and things like that. Yeah. But the downside of that can also be if you're taking trades that aren't the best setup, that obviously then can hurt you as well. But no, Ryan, I definitely do not think it's easy in any sense of the word. I do have other income to help supplement trading as well. I think from the 4 years that I've traded full time, I had 1 year where I took an L, and that was 2020 COVID year, because I was stubborn with the bank situation, or with the Fed situation, I guess. But no, definitely for sure.
It definitely changes the outlook overall, right? And an everyday basis mentality, right? Stay focused, saying it too. I trade for a living. It's a different mindset. And yeah, that's what we're talking about. And I think that you just have to find what mindset you need to be in, right? To get to the success, right? There's many different routes to that success. It's just going to be more along, can you get there? I think that that's what everyone needs to work on, and understand more their personality and their personal situation, because that's what's going to matter the most, right? Definitely Amazon cutting 9,000 jobs. We talked a little bit about that earlier. Le Capitan. Le Capitan Yog. I don't know if you guys can read that, but today's market's really hard. Yes, 100%. That's just what it is, team. Trading is easy. Making money is hard. Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I guess,
I know what.
Yeah, I mean, I can click buttons and trade.
Yeah, I can click buttons, but I think to me that is trading. But hey, to each his own, right? I mean, that's just more of a matter of the action's not really hard. It's the actual trying to get towards the profits. Yeah.
You've got Google breaking the range of 101s. Let's see if it holds. So here's the range that we can kind of draw out, right? So you've got about 101s to about 100. That's the range it's kind of been in for the past hour and a half. We'll see if it can go ahead and pop above and stay above the $100. And then, of course, you've got this pre-market high of $101.22. So we'll see how that works out in itself. Let's see what the SPY is doing. SPY made new highs, coming right back down. 393 resistance at the moment.
All right, team, just setting up a trade, not going to take this trade, just an idea. I like to give ideas sometimes that I'm not going to take. You guys take this with a grain of salt, like always, but I'm starting to see reversal off of FAZ somewhat makes sense, right? Because you're seeing the 24s just hold up here, and you're starting to see a little bit of a turnaround on that FAS from the 54s. JP Morgan's right off the VWAP, so that could come a little lower, and so could Goldman Sachs with that move on FAS back to VWAP. Does it mean that I think FAZ is going to, let's say, 26 today? No, I'd personally just be looking at like a move back to VWAP. That's a strategy that, if you guys don't know, hitthebid.com plays with this one, and that's a strategy just moving the stock back to VWAP. Trying to get kind of a mean reversion style trade and reversal. And stay tuned, team, because right now, guess what we're going through? All different types of patterns on Japanese candlestick charting techniques. Guys don't want to miss out the book club, team. Guys got to check it out. We're going to be getting into reversal patterns this weekend. We just got through the first 2 chapters. We talked a little bit about the history of candles. Did you guys know that these candles that you guys trade are actually from the Japanese markets?
Yeah.
Did you know that, Zunaid?
Say that one more time.
The candles, like candles, candlestick trading, that came from Japan.
Yes, I did know that. Yes.
Yeah, I think it's pretty interesting, right, to understand that, right? And I think it's pretty, it's like different completely. And this is why I think that candlestick trading has really taken off, is because it's relatively new, at least in financial standings here in the Western. You're talking, I mean, still 30, 40 years, but I mean, think about that, right? And I think that that's why a lot of this still is around nowadays. What did they trade back then? They were using more like bar charts, line charts, and point and figure charts back in the day when they didn't have these candlesticks. So, and just talking a little bit more about the history, and definitely check out the book club team if you guys aren't already part of it.
All right, Mitch, I'm going to get rolling here. Got to get back to my day. We will see what's up for tomorrow. I'm basically going to kind of dial it back here. I'm going to watch the market. I'm going to watch the banks, watch how tech responds and all of that. But basically going to keep myself safe here today, and we'll get back at this again tomorrow.
See you, Ron.
Grateful God, you're correct, man. It's the futures. That's how they first started, right? With the grains, right? We talked about that last night in the book club. All right, Zunaid, you want to wrap up here and just kind of go through similar outlook, what you're looking at out there, how you'll be looking at the rest of the day?
Yep. So you've got Google that was in a range between $100 and $101, currently trading at 101.24s. I've got a buy at 101.02s. If it wants to retest that breakout area, I'll get in. Stop loss probably about 20 or 30 cents. I've also got a trade on FRC once again, as it is above VWAP, looking to break to $20. If it does, I'm looking to sell around 20.85. Stop loss is 19.18. Might move that up though, depending on where the stock continues to go itself. Of course, the biggest trade for me at the moment is going to be 500 shares of PACW, currently trading at around 11.12. I got an 11.07. Stop loss 10.79. Looking to sell at the pre-market highs. This one has been a trouble for me. I was up. I didn't sell it. Got out at break even. Then I took another L on it afterwards. So definitely a stock that's giving me trouble. You do have session highs around 11.41s, but if that breaks, I do think we'll get the pre-market highs, and which should net me a nice little pretty penny there. But nonetheless, looks like the range has been broken on Google. Looks like the market is making highs as well. Best of luck. Save some money. See you tomorrow.
And I do agree, the postman bringing in. Have a good one, Zunaid. It's good to have you on, like always, my friend. Getting Zunaid out of here, getting his charts back out, and then I'll wrap up here. But the postman saying 200 years of line charts, test of time. Yeah, I agree. And this is why sometimes I like to take a look at what? Bar charts. You guys see me using these on the right-hand side. And the reason they're clear is that I like to take color off of them and just look at where the closing and the price is. This helps me take away a lot of the emotions. So maybe candlestick trading is not always the best, or maybe the green and red is not always the best. This is just something to keep in mind. Like I can see here that the closings are all around the same price here for JPM. Some people can see that easily on the candlesticks, but I like it more off of the kind of the opening and the open, low, high, and close bar charts here on the right-hand side to really kind of see where the levels are closing, opening, and where that's really kind of getting that range, right? It helps me kind of determine where the support is. So you guys choose what works best for you, but I just wanted to bring in some different chart outlooks today that maybe could give you a little bit of an edge, right? We'll see what happens there. Got to go ahead and get out of the bar chart talk. We're going to wrap up with this. Like always, you guys can check out me a little bit later on Start Swing Trading, right? 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern. That's when you guys need to come back. We'll take a look at some swing trading action. I got, of course, still BX on there, and we'll see if this is coming back here. So we'll see if I'm able to kind of take the profits and run. I'm up about 5.4%, took 5.5 earlier, looking for about 6% on the name. If I could take 6% and run, I'll take the money and run. We'll see what happens today. Just to mention it, that Yang, yeah, I did get stopped out, but I saved myself a pretty penny, right? Now down to 1150s. And you got to know your risk and reward, right? It's going to be a red day on the day trading action, green on the swing trading action. You guys know I'm a swinger. We'll see what happens there with this action with First Solar, swinging it to the short side, making money on this. And I'm glad I stopped out break even, because if I didn't, I'd be in the red today. Not many people probably shorted First Solar and made money. That's the hard part of trading, right? You could easily see both sides of the coin in this trade. We'll see what happens later today. Like always, team, be careful out there. It's going to be a tough market today. We don't know exactly what will be coming out of the banks, but will we get another run? One thing that I will note is the SPY is continuing to climb the wall of worry here, as this morning in the afternoon in 420 this morning, we were down to 385s. We're back to 393s. That's about a 2% run there in the SPY. So that shows me a little bit of climbing the wall of worry. The only question is, how much will we climb? And is the worry done? The bank situation, of course. Catch us a little bit later, 3 p.m. Eastern. Start swing trading. I'll take a look into the market and probably take some swings. Find out then at 3 o'clock. I'll see you guys a little bit later, and hit the like before you guys get out of here.
Check